Thor the Dark World is a superhero movie that features Norse mythology characters that battle fantasy enemies straight out of Lord of the Rings that have weapons from Star Wars. And it has Hannibal Lecter and Natalie Portman. This is the ultimate movie. Thor the Dark World stars Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Natalie Portman, Anthony Hopkins, Idris Elba, Jamie Alexander, Stellan Skarsgård, and Kat Dennings, and is directed by Alan Taylor. And he worked on Game of Thrones and brought a lot of that type of style to this movie, which is very much needed, because Thor, if you see my first review, I'll just recap it. It was a good movie, if not somewhat flawed, for the fact that it was kind of more of a comedy than a real superhero movie, lacking a bit in the action, even though there was good action, particularly when he was fighting the Frost Giants. But this movie, you got the Game of Thrones director, there's going to be a lot more fighting and a lot cooler, right? Absolutely. Thor the Dark World is an improvement on Thor 1. I'll just say that right now. Thor the Dark World takes place a little bit after the Avengers. Thor still hasn't seen Natalie Portman, but he finally reunites with her. And so they think, okay, we can get back to what we're doing. But no, Malekith, who is a part of the Dark Elves from the Dark World, decides he needs to get a hold of this thing called the Ether, which when you get it gives you superpowers, superhuman strength and such, and he's going to use it to take over the universe, so Thor's got to stop him. And he teams up with Loki, and they get to go battle, and you get a much improved movie on Thor 1, because there's so much of Thor just beating people up with that hammer, and that's what I wanted to see, and you finally do. And who better to swing that hammer around than Chris Hemsworth himself as Thor? He is Thor. This is like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It's just this guy owns the role and you can't take it from him. It's going to be really hard in 10 years or 20 years when they want to reboot Thor and they're like, who do we pick? Because Chris Hemsworth is defining the role. He's just so fun. He's got a certain level of cockiness that's charming. He's very charming as Thor, but he's just a badass. He picks up Mjolnir. I feel like Kat Dennings in the movie. She doesn't know what it's called. She just goes like, meow, meow. But, man, he picks up Mjolnir and he just kicks ass with that hammer, and it's so cool. Thor is like my second or third favorite comic book character now, in the movies particularly, because he's so fun to watch. He's very entertaining, and he's got a whole crew of people with him. You got Sif, played by Jamie Alexander. She's really cool. And the Warriors 3, you got Ray Stevenson, the Punisher from Punisher Warzone. He's fun. Robin Hood and Jackie Chan, as they were referred to in the first movie. So he's got a cool crew. You got Anthony Hopkins as Odin, a comedic performance as ever. And then you get kind of the main players besides Chris Hemsworth, though. Natalie Portman, beautiful woman, but still not much to do. She's just kind of there to love Thor and drool over him and be important to him, but not exactly as cool as Sif. Like, Sif gets to run around and beat people up. Natalie Portman doesn't exactly have much to do in these movies. But she looks good, really good, so I don't mind. Fan favorite, Tom Hiddleston, Loki. It's hard to say any movie with him in it has a character better than him, because, I mean, he steals every scene from everyone. In Avengers, he stole scenes from Downey Jr., and this one he steals scenes from Chris Hemsworth and everybody. He's just so entertaining to watch. Tom Hiddleston, he's great in this role, and he's another guy that every time an Avengers movie comes out, I want to see him in it. I don't care if it's Iron Man 3, I'm like, where's Loki? Because he's just so awesome. So pretty much all the characters are really good. You like watching everyone, even if they don't all have stuff to do. I mean, Renee Russo, they finally gave her something to do in the movie. I was happy to see that. I mean, she's Thor's mom, let her do some cool stuff, and she does. I was so happy. Kat Dennings has some more to do. She's funny. Who I didn't like was her little sidekick intern in this movie. She gets an intern, and there's kind of like a little romance thing, and I thought it was unnecessary and just kind of took away from the movie. I was like, we're watching this guy and Kat Dennings when we could be watching Loki again. Get rid of this guy. Because it was just Kat Dennings, it was fine, because her and Stellan Skarsgård have funny scenes. But the guy, he just felt unnecessary. And another character that was useless, and that's bad, because it's the main villain, Malekith. Man, he was not cool. I wanted a cool villain. The only interesting thing is the fact that he's a dark elf, so He's not exactly just some guy from Asgard. He's an elf. It's a new fantasy thing. They brought in a lot of fantasy elements, which I like. I'm happy you get to see Asgard more than Earth. It's not Thor and the Denny's smashing cups anymore. He's on Asgard and these other realms. It's really cool. I'm happy it's there and all these fantasy elements. Because it is kind of like Lord of the Rings. You got elves and all this, but at the same time, they got Star Wars weapons. They got like laser guns and ships straight out of Revenge of the Sith. It was really cool. I like that there's all these different genres mixing into this movie. It's really cool. But Malekith just, it's like I want to dominate all the realms and take over the universe, and I'm going to use the ether to do it, and that's the end of it. It's just boring and uninteresting as a villain, and that's disappointing. A villain that was not the curse. That he's terrifying because he's pretty unstoppable. He's just running around taking everybody out. He's busting through walls. You can't stop the guy. He was scary and a good threat. So if Malekith had been like the side villain and that guy was the main one, the movie would have been better. And what's more disappointing is in Thor and the Avengers, the villain is Loki, and then you get this guy. He just does not live up to Loki at all. But I'm so happy Loki was in here. I'd like to see him even more, just because I love Loki. And he's such a bad guy. He's such a villain. But he's so entertaining that you just want him in it as much as he can be. I like Thor the Dark World really good. The fight scenes, man, Alan Taylor directed such great fight scenes because Kenneth Branagh, too many slanted angles. I didn't like that. And this one, just straight on, let's see it, Thor just beat people. Thor the Dark World, really enjoyed it. I'd give it an A-, really liked it, lots of fun. This movie's really funny on top of all the badass action. So if you like this review, like or subscribe, comment below, tell me what you thought of Thor the Dark World, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time when I do the spoiler review of it. That should be up a little bit after this video.